Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Entrepreneurship Zone brought to you by the Education Support Forum. Today we're at GIBS, that is the Gordon Institute of Business Science, and we are witnessing as entrepreneurs pitch for money that is going to be won in the competition that is called, what is the competition called, by the way?
It is the Festival of Innovation.
Yes, Festival of Ideas, eh? Festival of Ideas. It skipped me there for a bit. So I am with Clayborne Appies, who has founded a company called Touch Deaf. And it's Deaf Touch, right? Okay, so tell me more about Deaf Touch. What is Deaf Touch? Who is it about? And
All right, before we go into the whole Deaf Touch thing, thank you. This is a really great platform that Gibbs is offering up-and-coming entrepreneurs to expose themselves, not just to markets, but also to great networks and learning opportunities, and also a great opportunity to get their ideas out there.
Sure, thank you.
So getting back to Deaf Touch, it is a ICT solutions company based in South Africa with a key focus on providing technology solutions for the deaf. Now, we've identified a turnkey solution that brings deaf community into the mainstream of economic activity through seamless communication. Now, this will be achieved through various product offerings in our suite of products, which includes a video relay system, video remote assistance, as well as a speech-to-text service, and this automatically then gives the deaf a voice.
Wow, that's amazing. And I mean, it's relevant. You're solving a real problem that we have in society. How did you come to be interested in helping the deaf? What inspired you?
Well, being exposed to deaf people throughout my life from a very young age. In fact, I was exposed to this at one of my previous companies, where I saw the interaction between deaf people and obviously the hearing people, and this took place via, back then, the Nokia 3310s. So what would happen was that the deaf colleague would type a message to his hearing colleague, and whatever was said in conversation was then communicated to via their phones. Obviously, smartphones didn't exist back then, but the mere fact that there was a connecting factor being a phone, that is what sparked my interest. I then set on a path in 2016 to find a solution, and initially wanting to develop an app myself, stumbled upon a turnkey solution currently in market in the US as well as European countries, and I was able to secure the license for Africa, the sole distribution license for Africa. And that was able to get me this opportunity to now bring it into Africa, obviously starting in my in my own home, South Africa, and give this solution to the deaf.
Wow, that's amazing. And I mean, this is like a personal experience at work, and then you did something about it. You just didn't feel bad about it and not do anything. So now that you've got the sole distributorship of this solution, have you already started? Have you got clients already, or you've just had it? What stage are you in?
Look, I am still in startup phase. The benefit that I have is that it is turnkey. So I have been able to pitch to big telecommunications companies. I won't mention any names at the moment. They've taken very good to the idea, and with one we are actually in the process of setting up a proof of concept or commercialization in this case in the next coming months, hopefully to launch in early 2019.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, and today, I mean, you're here at GIBS. You've met lots of people with amazing solutions. What was your key takeaway for today?
For me, the key takeaway was, I think, number one, refining your idea, understanding your business, being clear about what your objectives are, and being able to project that to an audience of possible investors. Obviously, this becomes even more important beyond investment to the end user. So the business is ideally a B2B business, but the benefit lies specifically to the end user, which is the deaf, and that is exactly that where we're trying to impact. They've obviously experienced a lot of marginalization And the rest of us have not done enough to create an inclusive environment that speaks of our notion of a truly rainbow nation.
So, I mean, I'm going to take you back to when Nelson Mandela passed away. There was an interpreter who was said to be creating his own language there. I remember him standing next to President Barack Obama. And then it made me realize that, you know what, I couldn't tell that he was not saying anything because I didn't understand. So do you think that it is necessary for everybody to learn sign just like they learn English and Afrikaans?
So I love that question. The answer to that would be the following, that South African Sign Language is in the process of becoming the 12th official language in South Africa. So incidents such as that obviously become so much more crucial because unfortunately it continued the notion that we are not including these people. So the expectation was never that we're going to give a solution, but instead that we'll push them aside, and that could be our solution. So Andrew Smith says the following: people fear what they don't understand. And obviously with the result, we create isolation and never look at solutions. So in scenarios of like what you mentioned, unfortunately, it creates so much more damage in an already fragile situation. But that is where there's hope. That is where there's hope, and that is where solutions come from. And hence we enjoy being entrepreneurs and having platforms such as this that can bring solutions to problems. And so I'd like to just mention this to you, that there's over 3 million deaf people currently in South Africa. They experience 75% unemployment. 50% do not have access to basic services that we take for granted. And obviously this is but just a few of the startling figures that the deaf community face at the moment.
Wow. So is there a lobby group that maybe is engaging government and the private sector to actually look at this? Because this is a serious crisis at our hands, and if we leave such a huge portion of the population without any services, optimized services, that would be a problem for development and general well-being of people.
So what's really important to note that there is bodies currently representing the deaf that are doing a phenomenal job in our communities. However, they are still up against lack of infrastructure, lack of financing, lack of resources that would get the message across. One interesting factor that happened about 2 months ago is that the deaf, in the month of deaf awareness that took place in September. That's correct. If I'm correct, it's September. We marched to the Department of Basic Education, because the deaf's voice just cannot be silenced anymore. They are being denied basic services like education, access to basic financial services. In fact, we are even infringing on the human rights because we are not giving them the choice to communicate in the language of their choice, which is South African Sign Language. And so organizations such as Deaf SA are doing a phenomenal job in getting the voice of the deaf heard, and we've partnered up with Deaf SA Gauteng specifically at this point in time, and we will be looking at creating employment as well as obviously getting various deaf people across the country to start accessing the service.
Wow. Okay, so you're doing amazing work, and if there are people out there who want to support you in any way, how do they get hold of you? Do you have a website? Do you have an office or anything? How do people get hold of you?
Right. Firstly, that would be on our email address, which is info@touchdeaf. That's touching your hands, and deaf as in you cannot hear. Our website is to be launched in the next 48 hours, which will be www.touchdeaf.co.za.
So you said www.touchdef.co.za. That's perfect. Thank you very much, Clayborne. You are doing amazing work, and I wish you well in your endeavor, and hopefully you'll be able to spread this solution to the rest of Africa and the world, such that we do not leave anyone out. So thank you very much.
Greatest of pleasure, and thank you so much to you for doing such a great job.
Sure. Thank you. Cool.